Hey, friend, welcome back to the show. I'm so glad that you're here. The other day I was thinking about how often we get caught up in this idea that growth has to be dramatic and it has to be overwhelming. Like there has to be so much that goes into it. Like if it's not some huge leap forward, then it doesn't count. But here's the thing, most of the time, the biggest transformations in our life and business come from the smallest shifts, the kind that barely feel like anything is happening in the moment, but add up in the most powerful way. So here's the thing about this. If you look at all of these small, amazing shifts that can happen in your life, the grand scheme endpoint of all of that is immaculate change. So today I want to talk to you about something that changed the game for me and so many of my clients, the 1% growth rule. The thing about this is it's simple, it's sustainable, and it's how the real growth actually happens. So if you've been feeling stuck or you've been feeling overwhelmed by your goals, or like you're always chasing the next best thing, I want you to just take a breath for a minute. This episode is going to bring you back to the power of simple, steady progress. So let's get into this today. So, what is the 1% growth rule? It is the idea that if you get just 1% better every day, it doesn't feel like so much in the moment. But over time, it compounds. You become so much more capable, confident, and aligned without burning yourself out or trying to compete in life's overhaul. All the other things that you have to be doing. I remember when I first started applying this, and I was in a season where I had big dreams, I had a huge vision. I've always had a huge vision, but not a lot of clarity on how to actually get there without dropping the ball every single time that I was juggling. And it was so incredibly frustrating. So I told myself, what if I just focused on doing one small thing better every day? Just one thing. Doesn't have to be perfect, not everything all at once, just one little shift. And it could be something as simple as drinking water before your coffee instead of after. It could be like starting the morning without checking email, removing technology right away. Instead of just grabbing your phone, sitting in that space and being intentional for a few moments. Taking time to visualize how you want that day to feel versus feeling like you just have to jump into work immediately, or even potentially sending a kind message to a client or a teammate. Thinking about all of these small shifts, small, that can make a huge difference. Again, as we were talking about, and I prefaced this podcast, think about compounding over time. This is about tackling one tiny win because that one tiny win is a win that works in your favor for the rest of the day. Okay. These things aren't flashy. They're not going to be like it's not going to be like a big before and after, and all of a sudden everything is completely transformed, but it is an internal shift. This is where so much momentum is created because after a while, you are going to see progress. So there was a point in time where I was stuck in a loop, feeling like I was doing so much, but not actually getting results. I was showing up. I felt like I was doing all the things, but I was super overwhelmed. So I picked one small thing. I started planning my next day every night before bed. That's it. Just started with that. And I started writing 3 priorities. Within a week, I was waking up with more intention. Within a month, I was hitting my goals with less stress. And within a few months, my entire workflow felt smoother and my energy was better too. The best part about this is that that one shift led to others naturally. Everything naturally just starts to shift when we put beneficial habits into place. It really created momentum without me feeling like I had to force it. So, how can you start your own 1% growth practice? You want to be able to apply this to your own life in a way that feels natural to you. So pick one area that feels heavy or chaotic right now. Maybe it's your mornings, maybe it's your email inbox, maybe it's your content planning, or maybe it's your energy. Pick one of those areas that you want to start with. Don't pick all of them. Now, you can pick this podcast apart and you can start assessing as you go and see what makes sense, but just start with one. Choose one tiny thing you can do differently and something you can do in under 5 minutes. I think that's definitely an important piece of this is that you want to make sure that it's simple. Like, seriously, do not overthink this. Pick one of the things that I recommended earlier and do it consistently by just showing up for that one small thing a day. And again, what you'll realize is that over time, the compounding of this, the habit that you're creating, is going to create natural flow for so many other things that you're going to be doing. So let's build this out together. You're not trying to be perfect, you're just trying to build consistency. And momentum is going to follow. So, how do you do this? Start tracking your progress. Start sitting down and literally create a habit tracker. I have a habit tracker for the things that I want to accomplish on a daily basis, and start looking at doing it, celebrating it, talking about it, telling a friend. And then what's going to end up happening is you are going to feel so proud because you are going to see the amount of times that you committed to this. What would 1% better look like today? And that's the question that we want to ask ourselves as we are working on this, as we are creating it. We want to be looking at, even if it were just 1% better, how much better would you feel? What else would change because that 1% was better? And if we start creating the idea that we can be 1% better, we can start understanding that what we're doing is possible and everything else that we are setting out to accomplish is also possible because we are simplifying. Okay. Before we close out, I want to leave you with this. Growth does not always feel like fireworks, like something's exploding in front of us. Sometimes it feels like peace, like intention, and also like knowing you're showing up for yourself one little moment at a time. That is really at the heart of it. That is what the 1% growth rule is. And if you stick with it, you'll look back a year from now and you will hardly recognize how far you have come. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend. Post about your 1% shift today. And I'd love to have you tag me. I'd love to cheer you on. You've got this. Small shifts, big results.